And we are rolling.
Hey everybody, how you
Hey
guys
guys.
doing? So today we have a special guest. Well, two special guests.
Two special guests.
Two. So we have Halisi and Ric from Our Black Utopia, and
Yep.
we are going to be talking about finances. Not my favorite topic, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to learn something new from this today because I need help. I'm getting better, but I always need help.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about finances when you're a couple, achieving financial freedom together.
Yes.
So, but before we get started, let us introduce ourselves. Welcome to Love Part Connection, where we talk about the pains and pleasures of life, love, and relationships. My name is Angela Parker.
And I'm Pierre Parker.
We are a husband and wife marriage and relationship coaching duo. We have been together for 28 years together. Married for 28 years. Why do I do that? I messed that up.
I don't know.
Together for over 30 years. And it's our goal to help Black couples communicate more, love more, and build healthy long-term relationships and marriages. And please remember, if there's anything about our content that you like or you find of value, please remember to subscribe and like our content.
Subscribe.
I know. Subscribe and like our content. I haven't had my coffee this morning. And make sure that you also hit that notification bell. Okay, so we are going to bring on Halisi and Ric from Our Black Utopia and get this conversation started.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you guys.
Hey, Angela, how you doing?
We're good. We're good. So,
Yeah.
I even though I initiated this conversation,
Yeah, this one we got to dive right into. Dive right into.
No.
Yeah.
But so first of all, tell us how you guys started, why you went down this path. What was the catalyst that made you guys say, we need to get our financial act together? Halisi, why are you looking at Ric?
Because I always talk, so I try to step back and give my husband an opportunity to tell the story that we have told too many times.
You don't have to step back. Well, got tired of working. It was getting to be too much, especially for her, in her occupation, and she was trying to take care of her father and trying to take care of things at home and go to work and deal with stuff. Then the pandemic and all that craziness hit. I got furloughed from my job, so it was a thing of trying to get things together. And we started liking to travel a lot too. Before the pandemic, we liked to travel and do things, and we had friends that we would came to Europe with and hung out and had a great time. It's like, we can get used to doing this and looking at different places that we might want to go to live. And just saying, okay, but we got to get things together because we got to figure this financial part out and get it together. Because, it's not rocket science, and it's figure outable. And once you get the idea of what you need to do, it's easy. It's very, very easy. So.
Okay.
So it's actually started before then. And it's interesting to me that he forgot. We had this horrible meeting with a so-called financial planner.
I always try to forget him. Some things you try to keep out of your mind.
Look, and so I don't know, was this like, it was after I ran for office. So I want to say it was like 2017.
Sooner than that.
2016, maybe 2016. I ran for office in 2015. Excuse me, y'all.
Okay.
2015. And then, so maybe 2016, 2017, an old colleague of mine, her husband had gotten into the insurance business.
Oh, okay.
But they call themselves financial advisors. Okay. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to go ahead and do this. His wife, I really respected. She's a very smart woman. And so I was like, all right, we'll meet with you. And so they started asking us for all of this information. And I was giving them, how much we had in savings, what our income was, what our 401k accounts looked like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when they showed up at the meeting, they had this whole graph and all of this stuff, basically saying, and then, no, it had to be later than that because Dad was already living with us.
Was he?
Yeah, because remember, your job was to retire and take care of Dad.
Oh, yeah, that's what the financial advisor told me that I was. Yeah.
So that means it was 2018. Okay, so we're not telling the truth when we get online. So so that means it was late 2017 or early 2018, somewhere in there is where we moved my dad. And when we moved my dad, so yeah, he was going to retire and take care of my dad, and then I was going to work until I was 67, 70. Meanwhile, I'm like 55 at this time, right? 50.
So that was his advice. That was his advice?
No, that's what yes, but that's what our financial picture looked like if you take the traditional route to financial independence, right? Like if you take the traditional route for retirement, saving a little 10% and doing all of that stuff, then that's what it was going to look like. And so when we walked out of the meeting, he was so depressed. He's like, me taking care of your dad? Like, how is that going to look? How is that going to work? And that just does not sound like.
He said parents. He didn't say parent. He said parents.
Either way, my mom was fine at the time. My dad was not. So, and so at that time, it was just my dad. But, that wasn't looking too good, right? Like, and so me and my infinite optimism, because I'm American and Americans are always optimistic. That's how 45 got elected. As opposed to critical thinkers. So in my over optimism, I was like, look, he don't know how much I'm gonna be making in the future, and we gonna do this, and we gonna do that, and we gonna get this contract, and we go, and we gonna pour all this money in. But if you continue spending the way that we were spending, it would not have mattered how much money we were making. It would not have mattered unless we changed our habits. And so, but I walked out of that meeting thinking, okay, and they're very clever about the script that they give you. So this is a warning, y'all. This is a warning. When these people call you trying to sell you insurance. He's like, so what do you want for your kids? So for those of us who have kids, what do you want for your kids? Well, we know we want to leave them some money and this and that and the other so they can be set and not have to go through what we had to go through. And my whole thing was like, why does every single generation have to keep starting over? Right? Like my grandparents got to this point, but my mom and dad had to start from scratch.
Right.
And then they, got to this point, yet I had to start from scratch. Rick had to start from scratch.
Right.
I didn't want our kids to have to start from scratch. And they played right into that. Well, a life insurance policy for, this amount of money, whoop-de-woo-de-woo, is like, okay, so I have to die for them to realize anything, right? But at the time, I did not know any better. So we bought into it. And, I think I got life insurance. But the one thing that we did get that we still kept is his long-term care
health care
insurance. Okay. Even though we're not planning to go back to the United States, you just never know. And so we maintain that because if you stop it and try to get it again, it's going to be more expensive, right?
Right.
So I still have my long-term care insurance in the United States, and we keep that for Rick as well. But other than that, I was like, look, okay, I'm gonna get this insurance policy and this is that and the other, but it was always weighing on our mind. So we came home and about, I don't know, I know we had done it back in 2012. So in 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere now, no, it gets all mushy after a while. I started downloading everything from our accounts, all of our credit card accounts, our bank accounts, and everything, and started analyzing where our spending was going. And I put us on a semi budget in that we had an allowance, so we could start paying down this debt. Now, between that time and when we met with the financial advisor, I stopped working and ran for office.
Oh, okay.
So all of the plans about paying off debt and this and that and the other, that extra money went towards the campaign. And then I was unsuccessful. And my business, I lost all my clients because I wasn't working it. And I was like, I don't want to start from scratch. So I went and became a W-2 employee. And that's when I'm like, okay, we're not starting over. I know some people who went bankrupt running for office. Like, that's not my ministry. That's not my ministry. So we still had, like, I wasn't cashing out anything. I know people who cashed out their 401ks to try to win.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we didn't do any stupid stuff like that. Or there was a certain level in our savings account that I would not go, below. And so we maintained that. But other than that, like we say, we looked at our money and it was looking crazy. $20,000, $30,000 in the bank. Some people will say, well, shoot, that's good. And that means that we were not $400 away from an emergency.
Right.
Like they say the average American is. But that ain't no money to retire on. And if that's all you have at 50 something, you're in trouble. And we were in trouble. And so that was our wake up call. We had already started on the path of trying to monitor our spending and reduce debt. Had a delay with the running for office, but then so when they called, it was a perfect storm because I just started working again and all of that stuff. And I was like, yeah, we need to get our financial act together.
So I'm sorry, Halisi, so you guys started this endeavor in your 50s? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we say we help folks who forgot to plan get their money straight,
Yeah.
You mean it.
Yeah.
we need it. Like my
Okay.
listen, and I want to say this for anyone who's watching, y'all, it is never too
It's never
late.
too late.
My stepmother didn't start getting her act together until she was 54. When she started coaching me, I was 55. And so I was like, we can do this because if she can do it, I can do it too. And especially with her help, right? Because she had already done it. But yeah,
Right.
And she was able to become financially independent within about 10 years. And this was back in the 90s that she started, because obviously she's my stepmother, much older, but but yeah, we did not start. Let's see, I ran for office when I was 50. So no, we started a little bit of the putting ourselves on an allowance and all of that stuff when I was in my 40s.
Okay.
But being like really purposeful and understanding how you do it, nah. I was like 54, 55, something like that.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that the person that came in, financial advisor, the one good thing that they did is they made us look at our finances.
Again,
for real look at it.
For real.
Especially when we saw that diagram, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a question. Because you said it a number of times and it's kind of going off topic a little bit, but your occupation, what was your occupation? And then I've heard you say numerous times already you ran for office. So explain that part of it, because that keeps going in my head.
Yeah, it
started without going into too much detail,
it started
whatever.
With our 44th president.
Okay.
It started with our 44th president. I mean, I tell people all the time, I am the daughter of Sister Soldier and Malcolm X. So I've always been an activist. My parents were activists. They had, our phone was tapped, our house was bugged. They were involved in the movement. So being politically and community oriented has always been in my blood.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was our 44th president, who really got me to thinking, like, I now understand that the system isn't rigged. Otherwise, this Black man wouldn't win.
Mhm.
Only racism deniers will say, oh, they're Illuminati and all this conspiracy there. It's like, let go of that. Let go of that. They did not want that man. They wanted Hillary. And so when I watched what he did, it's like, I can do that. And I was looking around, we lived in Denver, looking around at what was going on in our community. And what I saw was the people locally did not, they were making laws about business and had never run a business.
Okay.
They were making laws about that and had never done that. And obviously weren't talking to the experts because they were making dumb laws. So my whole thing was, our liberation is financial liberation. And even then, not understanding how easy it is to invest in the stock market, I was about entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And so that was my platform. So I ran for city council in 2015 in Denver, Colorado, and had mayor endorsements and everything else, but I was unsuccessful.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Then I worked for the Colorado Democratic Party as executive director.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of this in Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't believe the hype. Colorado is very progressive. It's more progressive than California.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay.
What we don't know and the assumptions we make, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So when you guys started setting your financial goals, can you walk us through what did you guys do first? After you looked at all and cried and looked at all your monies and said, okay, we are in debt. How did you start? What was the process for you guys?
The good thing about it is so this is not our first marriage, because the Love Park Connection is about relationships and the relationship as with life stuff, right? So
Right.
the majority of folks get divorced because of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not going to let that be us. This ain't our first rodeo. And it's like, you know what? It does not get any better than this. And I don't want to F it up with some nonsense. So we never argued about money. So that means we just spent, well, I'll find a way to make it work. So we came together and decided that in order for us to be able to retire comfortably, that we were going to have to change some things. And so the first part of that was paying off debt.
Yeah.
All credit card debt. All credit card debt. Not collateralized debt.
Right.
So, consumer debt is what we kind of call it, right? Credit cards and stuff like that. And so that was the first thing. And we did not pay off our last debt until 45's giveaway, stimulus check giveaway. That first one, just printing that money. And then they wonder why there's inflation because you just can't throw. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so. And we didn't need it. And that's another thing that the pandemic taught us. That was really key because neither one of us made six figures.
Okay.
Neither one of us ever made six figures. He got furloughed during the pandemic. And how are we doing just fine off my salary? So obviously we've been wasting more money than we even thought. And we weren't being as diligent as we thought we were. Right.
Yeah.
And so, the first step was definitely paying off that debt. And we used that first stimulus check to pay off the last of our debt. That second stimulus check, did we buy a big screen TV?
No,
No, we did not. We invested it. And it's like, when people understand now, I know there were some people in America who really needed that money. That was not us. But I wasn't going to send it back because those are my tax dollars.
That's right. Even though they made us pay taxes on it anyway at the end of the year.
Yeah.
There was ways to get around that.
Now, real quick, because a lot of people always say, because I'm trying to get my niece who just started working. I'm trying to get her to understand about investing and things like that. And when most people tell you, oh, yes, invest this, can you explain investing and what you're investing in? Because a lot of people will be like, well, I hear that, but I don't understand. What am I investing in? What am I putting in? So can you explain that in your, how you guys,
And your
in your words of it?
I think it's the product that you're investing in, a lot of it. Because a lot of people, if you go to somebody and say, yeah, you need to invest in the stock market. Well, I think the first thing that comes to their mind is individual stocks.
Apple, Microsoft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to buy Apple and I'm going to buy this. And then they look at the pricing when they finally get a chance to look at the pricing of it. And Apple is at $180 a share, or Google or somebody is at $1,000 a share. It's like, I can't afford that. I can't.
Exactly.
How do they do that? So you have to find vehicles. They have to look at different vehicles to invest in, to start in. That's going to make it more palatable, so to speak. Index funds, mutual funds, different things like that. So once they start to understanding, well, no, now they have fractional shares that you can go to a brokerage firm and get fractional shares. And they understand that it's not going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars like it would have cost our parents back in the day. One of the reasons they couldn't invest is because you had to come in there with $25,000.
Exactly.
That was the requirement at Fidelity back in the 90s.
Right.
So, and now you can just get on Robinhood and invest,
Today.
They made it simpler.
Can you explain? Go ahead. Oh, I was going to go ahead. No, you go.
I'll add on to that, because what we hear a lot is, well, I'm invested in my 401k. A 401k is not an investment. I'm invested in my IRA and it's not growing. An IRA is not an investment. It is a vehicle to invest through. Right. And so whether it's your 401k, 403b through work, or an IRA through work, or separately, that is just a vehicle. And it is a vehicle that is regulated by ERISA laws. Those are federal retirement laws that dictate what can and cannot happen within those products. So 401ks, 403bs, right? That's pre-tax money. And I'm telling you, so get the maximum amount. You can get the maximum amount and still take home the same amount of money that you're taking home today. So go talk to your HR payroll person. Okay. So take notes, y'all. So whether it's pre-tax or it's an IRA and it's post-tax, but you have tax deferred gains, either way, you got to be invested in something within that vehicle. Right.
Right.
So to Pierre's point, for the absolute beginner, what we suggest is that you research, because we are not financial advisors. We are not certified financial advisors. We're financial educators, which is even better, because we have nothing to gain. We have nothing to gain by this. So what we suggest is that you research index funds. An index fund is a mutual fund. A mutual fund is a product that contains a bunch of pieces of a bunch of different companies. All right. So it's a bucket that contains Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Coca-Cola, Costco, whatever. It just depends on what the mutual fund is about. A mutual fund can be a total stock market. It can be based upon one of the industries like tech or retail or real estate, et cetera, et cetera. Or it can be based upon an index like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 or the Russell 5000 or Russell 2000, anything like that, right? So those are indexes. An index fund, as opposed to a mutual fund. So mutual fund is the product, right? It's got a bunch of stuff in one bucket. An index fund has a bunch of stuff in one bucket as well. But the difference is a mutual fund is managed by a human being every single day. Right. A human being who lies and tells us they're going to beat the market.
Can't.
I think they think they're actually going to beat the market.
Yeah.
It's not so much that they're lying. but they think they'll try to convince you that
Maybe they're convinced.
well, yeah, but they got to try to convince you to give them the money to invest in it. That that I know how to beat the market, and if somebody tells you that they know how, they know the secret to beating the market, run.
Tell me when Jesus is coming back, because you know about that just about as much as you know the other thing.
Because
Right.
even Warren Buffett, as great as he is, he will tell you, I can't predict the market. I don't know.
No.
Now he beats the market in a different way, but that's advanced investing. But these people, and so for the privilege of them managing that mutual fund, you pay fees.
Okay.
Now you say 2%, 3%, 4%. Oh, ain't nothing, because if you get a 2-3% loan on your house, you happy.
Yeah.
But this is the money you need to live on. So 2% of $1 million, that's 20,000. Now look, that could be a half a year's living expenses depending upon where you live. Definitely here in Lisbon, Portugal, you can that's half a year's living expenses easily. So and I'm paying them for what? What I'm paying for?
Right.
So an index fund, by contrast, is managed partially by an algorithm and then periodically by a human being. Therefore, the fees are much, much lower, y'all. You can get wealth eaten up with fees. So you want to be very, very conscious of that. Look through your 401ks, look through your 403bs, look at the mutual funds that somebody suggests, some age-based, retirement-based fund and stuff like that, and see what the fees are that you're paying, because really investing should basically be free. It should basically be free. So, yeah.
Now, is there a difference between an index fund and an EFT, or are those one and the same?
There's a difference. And there's a difference on how they're regulated and how they're traded. So you can have an S&P 500 ETF. I always get this wrong. Electronically traded?
No, exchange
traded fund.
Okay.
And then you can have an S&P 500 index fund. Sometimes the ETF is easier to get into, especially for Vanguard, which Vanguard is notorious for having a minimum amount. Like you can't start buying this index fund until you got $2,500, which is a lot better than $25,000. But and then they have ones that you can get in for 400, 300, et cetera, et cetera. But if you've got that ETF, the ETF is traded just like stock. That means all day long is going like this.
Okay.
All day long is going like this. If you buy an ETF at 9 a.m., it'll close by 9:05 or whatever, and you'll have the stock in your portfolio, as opposed to buying some stock or buying some shares in an index fund. It doesn't go like this all day long. Whatever that closing price is at the end of the day, that's what you're purchased at. So I can buy it at 9 a.m., but until the stock market closes at 4:30, it's not going to be in my portfolio. So that is the major difference between an index fund and an ETF.
Hand me a pen. I need to write this down.
Hold
on. He's going to I know, because I usually invest in, since I'm not working, I don't have my, I don't have the 401k, so I'm investing on my own. So I usually invest in, I'll invest in individual stocks that I really like, or some of the more blue chip stocks. But I've been investing in ETF because I didn't know the difference between an ETF and an index. So let me write that down.
So while she's writing that down, my other question is, what about cryptocurrency? Because that's a big one now as well. So how do you guys feel about that?
We don't. I have a little bit of very, very small amount of crypto that I just put some money in to see how it would do. I don't understand it totally. I mean, there's nothing really, really behind it. An idea to me. I mean, because a lot of governments, and they're trying to bring it into the more and more the mainstream of things, because it's what's behind it.
Right.
But then again, what's behind the fiat?
Currency.
Since we're not on the gold standard no more, there's no gold behind it.
I will tell you what's behind it. 330 million Social Security numbers. That's what's behind it.
Yeah.
And that's what they depend on. They depend upon future earnings from its citizens.
Okay.
So I don't invest in anything I don't understand.
Yeah.
And though I understand blockchain technology and will invest in companies that are doing advancements in blockchain technology, which is the foundation of crypto, as a business major and understanding macroeconomics, I don't understand a government giving up its right to its own currency for crypto.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like we know that when the EU formed and all of the nations of the EU gave up their own currency and went to the euro.
Yeah.
What happened when that happened? Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, the southern Europe was in financial trouble because they could no longer just print currency to sustain, nor could they manipulate currency like the United States can, right? Like anybody can. Now it's manipulated between all 11, 15 countries, however many are in the EU, right? And so if you understand macroeconomics and you understand why governments control their own currency, I cannot wrap my mind around crypto in relationship. Like when I can pay my mortgage with it, then come talk to me. If I can pay my car bill with it, then come talk to me. But before that, it's zeros and ones. And I don't know how to change that into goods and services.
Yeah.
I don't invest in anything that I don't understand. Warren Buffett does not invest in anything that he doesn't understand. So for those of you who do understand and you figured out a way to make that make sense,
Yeah.
do your research.
Yeah, exactly. So back to when you guys started this whole endeavor, you talked about creating a budget. So did you create a joint budget, or was it a budget that you guys had separately, or was a little bit of both? How was the budget created when you first started?
Yeah, I don't understand separate money for married people. That might get me in trouble. But even before we were married, we had a joint account because that's trust. And I think that has to be foundational in a relationship.
Right.
And, we weren't together in the days where we were going Dutch, back in college, so we didn't develop a habit, right? Of going Dutch, right? So what we did is the majority of our money went into a joint account. And we had separate accounts for our allowance.
Right.
And so from our checks, we agreed that a certain amount of money from the employer would go straight into our own account for our little frivolities. And then the rest of the money would go into our joint account, or we called it the house account.
House account.
Yeah.
For which we had an agreement to never, there were limits set to things. So, if we're going to spend over $100 out of the house account, we discuss it.
We discussed it.
We talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
For big household items or stuff, of course, we
That's
come
easy.
together on that. That's easy, but
But a new winter coat and you didn't save your allowance for it, even though you got a nice winter coat in the closet, but you want one and you want to take that money out of the house account, that's a discussion.
Did you guys have did you guys assign financial responsibilities within even the house account? If I'm making sense. So I know, like for us, there are certain things that he'll pay and certain things that I will pay, even though we have a house account. Did you guys? No. So all the money came out of the house account.
Everything came out of the house account. Everything from the cable bill to either of our car payments and everything in between.
Now, who's the spender between you two? Because I know me, I'm getting much better because now that I've been laid off, I have to really budget. So this has been a blessing. But who was the spender, or were you both kind of equal in spending and being frugal?
So if it comes to tech, Yeah.
Yeah, I like little gadgets and stuff. But I mean, I wouldn't spend
No.
crazy. Well, like we said, if it's a house account,
It has to be a
it
discussion.
has to be a discussion.
Okay.
And we've
Yeah.
always had a side hustle. And I'm like, he's like,
Okay.
ooh, I really like that such and so. I'm like, get a project.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So, I was working and I had always wanted a date when they first came out with this 16-inch Mac laptop, MacBook Pros, and I wanted one so bad. And I kept asking her, I said, I really would like to. She said, get a project.
It was like $2,800, $4,000. I don't know, it was expensive.
Yeah, it was almost $3,000.
Like
she's like,
$3,200 because I got one.
Yeah.
And that was back in the day.
She told me get a project. So I got a project. And I got a video project. I said, I got the project. Can I get my MacBook now? And it was no problem. The project came through. And had extra money left over.
Yeah.
Because I found a deal on the MacBook that I wanted to get. So I got it for even less.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've always been cheap. My mom's like, why are you so tight? I was the one who would go to the mall and I forgot my allowance at home. But mommy, can I get?
His mom used to say, when you open your wallet up, it squeaks. Wasn't that what she said?
I put my hand in my pocket, it squeaks.
I cannot say that that's nature. I think it's nurture for me. I don't think that I have ever, even though I didn't grow up in a house that had the lights turned off or anything like that ever. And my parents had Black excellence jobs, but they were horrible with money, just horrible. Which is why we're in the situation we're in now with them, even though they were the first Black this and the first Black that. Where the money at? I asked my dad, like, where's my trust fund?
Your trust fund.
Yeah.
Like, I know how much money you made. Y'all was making money. They were in television, they were making money. And so, my mom started telling me when I was like, how was I? I think 12 or 13. I remember I was at work with her. It was during the summertime. So I went to work with her. And one of the girls who was on the show was just a year younger than me. And she had these jeans. They were called Shaminda Fairs. You remember the days of Jordache and all that stuff.
Calvin Klein, yep.
Calvin Klein, right? And so these were called Shaminda Fairs. And they had little trains on the buttons. And they were sailors. So they had the 2 rows of buttons on the side. And I was like, I've got to have those. I want those. And especially because this little actress who was wearing them, of course, I wanted, I'm trying to emulate her at the same time. I said, Mom, I want some Shaminda Fairs, these jeans. Da, da, da. All right. So we went to the Fox Hill Mall. Any of you from LA know the Fox Hill Mall?
Fox Hill Mall.
In the hood, in our hood. And she looked at the jeans. This was like 1977, 78. They were like $45.
Ooh.
I paid 40 euro for jeans here, earlier this year. So $45 in the 70s. She's like, you need to get you a Shaminda job. I know that much. and so I don't think I from that, I was like, oh, okay. So that means all my allowance, I'm saving up. When we go to the mall and you want to get ice cream, I'm not pulling out my wallet to buy my ice cream. My money's going for my Shaminda Fairs.
So you had a lot. It sounded like you had a lot of discipline even when you were younger. When it comes to saving, that's what it sounds. I mean,
well, it sounded like it came from the experience of her parents.
Well, I know, but
that's how it is with me. When I lived, because my mom and dad separated when I was like 5, but my dad was always there. But my dad was, the penny pincher, work hard, all the stuff he would save and do whatever. My mom had it, they both had great jobs, but my mom was not the save and all that stuff. And I was used to coming home sometime and no electricity, no water, and all of these different things, making mayonnaise sandwiches and things like that. Because my mom, I mean, there's other circumstances with mom, but my mom just didn't, you know, sometimes she's like, hey, I had to rob Peter to pay Paul, so the lights is off today, you know, things like that. So I think what it was is when I was growing up, I got to a point when I moved with my dad, I had said, you know, I saw how my dad was taking care of things. And I said, you know what? I don't ever want to have to be like how my mom was, not putting my mom down, but I don't ever want to have to be struggling like that, you know, and keeping the lights on, you know, making sure that I got to rob Peter to pay Paul. So when I moved in with my dad, I saw how he was doing it and taking care of things. So I was like, okay, I want to be like this. I want to make sure that I'm legit. I'm paying, because it was times my mom was having the PG&E Jimmy rigged, and she's like, oh yeah, the PG&E. Well, I'll just call Tyrone to come over here and just hook it up, and you know, and I was like, right, yeah, exactly. And I was like, look, I was like, I don't want to live like that. So I want to be legit. I want to make sure the stuff is right. So that's probably where I got the more penny pinching type thing from, you know. And my wife is the opposite. So
I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying. Like I said, I've gotten so much better since I've been laid off. So to me, that was a blessing. But you know, I'm a work in progress.
Ask ourselves, because you know, we all want nice things.
Yeah.
But why? And to what end? And is there something else that can bring us the same feeling?
Yeah.
Well, I think I got to the point, as far as me, I got to the point to where, because I, you know, remember I wanted the Jordache jeans and all that stuff back in the early 80s and all of that stuff as well. And, you know, and Pops worked hard and he got me a pair, and I wore them like they was like a, you know, a suit, you know, a Sunday suit. I would wear them every blue moon, take them off and put them back in the closet. And I'm like, yeah, off, you know, so, but I grew up, my dad actually got me to the point to where I didn't necessarily need to have the top of the line stuff. You know, I didn't need to have that. So, and that's kind of what we did with our kids. Our kids,
they could care less about
you know, the Nikes and all that stuff. Because when they was coming up, Payless Shoe Source was my spot. So, so I was going to get like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes for them. So, but you know, I think just from my childhood of growing up that way, that made me appreciate the stuff when I do get something that, you know, you know, that's kind of something. Every now and then I'll splurge, but like she said, I get music equipment, you know, stuff like that. But that's,
as Americans, we have too much stuff.
We do. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
We have entirely too much stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why? Like right now, I had stuff in the basement closet, the guest bedroom closet, probably some of a little bit in the office closet, but I think you were using that too when it was still an office, Jabari's old bedroom, and then our closet. And I had the biggest space in our closet.
Yeah, of course.
Now I have a closet that's probably as big as my arm span.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. You know, and I don't care if somebody sees me in the same thing 3 times in a row in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. That's a them problem. That's not a me problem.
Yeah.
You know, I brought my favorite stuff, and that's it. So every day is Sunday's best. Every day I'm wearing my favorite stuff, and I don't buy anything until it wears out. I don't buy knickknacks and stuff like that anymore. I want to remain nimble. I don't know what I'm doing. We need to be able to just get out of Dodge. Right? And I don't need a lot of crap. You know, I don't need baggage weighing us down when it's time to go.
Yeah.
But Americans just, you know, and then we've got storage spots and all of that stuff, and we're paying for the storage, and then half the garage is filled with crap. And maybe my aunt's not watching. She's got so much stuff in that like 4,500 square foot house.
She got a lot of stuff. She knows she does.
She knows she does. That all of my mom's really valuable, well, not all of them, but the majority of my mom's valuable paintings we didn't know what to do with when we were cleaning out our condo.
Yeah.
I positioned them around my aunt's house. She has not said a word. She has not noticed that she has about 10 additional very nice Black paintings from Black artists in her house, scattered around. And it's been 8 months. She hasn't said, so did you, I remember that being in Gloria's house. Now I see it in the basement and it's, by the bar. Did you bring that up? She hasn't said a word. Not a word, but I couldn't give it away. And so at least it's still in the family. Too much stuff.
I was just up at my dad's house and we lost my mom like 3 months ago. So,
I'm sorry.
So he's, trying to make it. So I'm up there at his house and he's having some guys that came yesterday to come work on his deck. And I'm helping him the other day clean off the deck. And he just got stuff. He got old. Now my dad is 77 years old. He got an old stepper and he got some weights up there. I'm talking about that look like they're from 1920. They rusted and they like the old iron weights. And I'm like, Dad, why do you still have this? Oh, I'm gonna use that one day. I'm like, you've been saying that for like years.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna wear that.
Look, he got wood on the side of his house that he just be collecting sometimes because I'm like, Dad, why you have all this wood? Well, sometime I might need to fix a board in the fence or the I'm like, what?
But
this board been here for 40 years.
So he says all that, but he's the pack rat. So
most of my stuff is music equipment.
And our house is small. We have a small house, which our closets are really small. He's the pack rat. And sometimes when he goes out of town to do gigs or something like that, I purge
my stuff
because I don't like clutter. So I'll purge.
But you know what you just said about the closets?
But our closets are small. All of our closets are
we got small closets.
Really small.
But we have 3 rooms.
No, I don't have anything in here.
Now.
She
had stuff in 3 closets. I have a section of one of our closets in our room.
But our closets are really small. But I'm not a big when it comes to things when I spend things because our biggest spending habit is going out to eat. I told him yesterday, I said, we've got to stop this.
Yeah.
Especially in California. So you can imagine how much we're spending just for us two. And that don't include drinks because we really don't drink. Well, he doesn't drink at all. And I'll have a glass of wine every once in a blue moon. But I said, that's our biggest spending because, I'm not a big clothes person.
Easy to do.
Easy.
It is so easy to do. That was one of our biggest things was going out to eat.
And we were spending back in 20s. Well, when it was before that. It was when we did the first evaluation. So like 2013, 2014, we were spending about $1,000 a month just on restaurant food. Way back then.
Yeah.
Back then, right? This was before IHOP was $85 for 4 sets of pancakes and coffee.
No. I know.
Yeah.
And it's not even good food.
And it's not even good food. Last night we went out to an African restaurant and we had a homemade juice type thing. That's what Ross had. And an entree. And then I had a caipirinha, which is kind of like a Brazilian mojito, and you had a beer.
I had a imperial,
water, but I think the water was free. Water's not always free in Europe, y'all. But we had lovely entrees, which the leftovers made our brunch this morning. So that's how much food it was.
Yeah.
And for the 3 of us, for entrees and drinks, was €52.
Do you
and that food was on point. Like it was so on point that I was looking up recipes on how to make the oils and stuff that they use in this Angolan food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went out yesterday to Dinner. That's what I call it. Lunch.
Yeah,
It was in between lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner.
Yeah, we went and had some tacos. We had some shrimp tacos and some
and then the
beans and
little
rice,
ones, the
the
street
small
tacos.
street tacos. Yeah, I spent like $85.
That was the tip. And there was we had lemonade to drink. I didn't even have a mojito.
Yeah.
It was lemonade. And what the top and the side of rice and beans.
Yeah.
And so that's my next question. So did you, when you guys moved to Portugal, was that one of your what's the word I'm looking for? Ways that helped you build your wealth, or did you already have your wealth before you moved to Portugal?
We had it before we
had it, yeah.
Okay.
However, for some of us, especially if you can work remotely, moving to a lower cost of living can be the way that you reach financial independence more quickly, right? And so we're not full fire, because if Social Security went away, we would be in trouble. So we live off of his Social Security check, and we're still able to put money aside to invest every month.
Okay.
In both of our brokerage accounts. So I think we saved up 2 years worth of living expenses before we left. We were saving 65% of our income.
Okay.
We were saving 65% of our income. This little 10%, 15%, y'all, I'm looking in the camera like that's cute, but that is not going to be where you need to go.
Yeah.
That is not going to get you, especially if you're a late bloomer like we were. And so it was real easy. Like it was easy not to go out to eat during the pandemic, right?
Right.
But then even after that, we kind of got out of the habit. Now being here is out of control. It's out of control. But it's still within a budget, right? And so we saved up 2 years living expenses on top of 65% of our income.
Now that's what I wanted to ask you guys that, because I hear you say that quite a bit in your own show. So when you say living expenses, was it living expenses, Portugal living expenses, or Denver living expenses?
Denver.
Okay. Now is Denver? What's the cost of?
It's expensive, but it ain't. It's not LA Bay Area. Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's probably about 20-25% cheaper than LA. And so, maybe 30% depending. Denver's a hot spot.
It is.
The houses were, the rent, when I moved there, because we moved separately, when I moved there, the rent was just as expensive as LA. It was actually better to buy.
Okay. So we have someone asking, how did you guys save 65%? I know who it is. It's our friend Nicole. She wants to know how you guys save. How'd you guys save?
So we had 50% of his income going straight into 401k.
Ooh.
Wow. So, but then I guess
do you want it? Do you want it? Like you got to automate it. You've got to sacrifice. 50% of his income was going straight into 401k. And then about 20% of my income was going straight into 401k. And then we were saving money on top of that. So like I said, y'all, we realized during the pandemic that we could live off of just my salary.
Yeah.
So where'd all that other money go?
Yeah. All the other spending.
So the question I would ask, because this person is asking, she's actually single. So, and she was wondering, that's why she was saying, she said hello. She was asking how, now I guess she's probably asking as a single person, how would you recommend
you want a
somebody?
Strategy? So you've got to look at your biggest expenses, right? And so when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we start at the foundation. What do we got? 4 major expenses. You have housing, healthcare, transportation, and food. You've got to figure out a way to get rid of the biggest expenses or to reduce the biggest expenses.
Okay.
So housing is usually most people's biggest expense.
Yeah.
When I moved my dad in, I made him pay rent. So that helped defray some of our mortgage costs. When my
Yeah.
son moved in, he had to pay rent. There ain't no
Yeah.
free rides, right? So
Yeah.
that
Right.
defrayed some of our costs. But there are other ways to do it. Like, had I known then what I know now, and dad and son notwithstanding, let's just say it was just us two, or just even me, and I had this house, right? A lot of us live in spaces that are much bigger than we need. The average family of four only lives in 1,500 square feet, even though the average house in America is much bigger than that. Well, not maybe much, but like 2,200 square feet, right?
Right.
But they're only living in 1,500 square feet. So why are you paying all this money for all the rest of this house? So
Status.
I had to.
Yeah.
We wrote a letter breaking up with the Joneses. We will not compete with you anymore, Joneses. Like, we literally wrote a letter breaking up with the Joneses. This was part of our journey. And said, we're not competing with you anymore. We don't care. You know, I'm driving this 2008 car. The car that I sold was a 2008 before we moved here in 2022.
Okay.
So, but if I had to do all over again, what I would have done is rented out our house and bought a duplex. And bought a duplex, grandma's duplex, so that you can get it under market value. And I would have had the other, or duplex or triplex or fourplex, and I would have had the other people pay all of my housing.
Yeah. Yep.
Short of that, I would have gotten roommates. And I know that that doesn't make us feel like grown up. But like, we need to redefine what success looks like for ourselves. And if you want to not be beholden to the W-2 gods, right, and clock in, then you've got to make sacrifices if you're starting late. And so roommates, but house hacking is the number one thing. The other thing is, like, I never paid more than $300 a month for a car. And his car, I think we were paying like $350. It was basically paid off by the time we left. My car had been done, paid off. We never had two car payments at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, sacrifices. I was not driving around, here I am, executive director. I'm driving around a 2008, y'all.
Right.
Say something, because you ain't paying my bills.
Right. Yes.
Right. So there's smart money moves that you can make, but some of us just don't make enough.
Yeah.
Right.
That means you got to get a side hustle. You got to get a second job for a short amount of time. Or figure out some other way.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, basically, you really need to sit down, look at your budget, say, you know what? Do I really need to spend money on getting my nails done? Do I really need to spend money on whatever it is that you can cut out? Yeah, we still want to be able to splurge and feel like, okay, we're working. We need a little something. But in our case, it's like, we don't need to go out to eat, because buying groceries in and of itself here is expensive. So we need to eat at home.
I went to Ralph's over there on MLK and Obama Boulevard. Okay, so you know what neighborhood that is.
Yes.
I got my feelings hurt. I was like, what are they doing? What are you talking about? Eggs? What are we doing? So, but yeah, you do have to make sacrifices.
You can't compare those prices to you comparing them to Portugal prices.
Even compared to Denver. I got my feelings hurt. Like LA, and born and raised in LA. I was like, y'all done lost your mind. But then again, our 1-bedroom condo in LA appraises for the same amount as our 4-bedroom house in Denver.
Ooh, wow.
That's LA. That's Cali, right? So we cut out cable. We cut it. We changed cell phone providers, right? So you go through all of your expenses and you say, okay, what can be eliminated? We have all these subscriptions, and a lot of them are in your phone. All these subscriptions and stuff, and it's $14.99 here, $3.99. Well, it's only this amount, but that stuff adds up. It adds up, and if you're trying to get to the I don't want to work anymore, then sacrifices have to be made if you're starting late. So we looked at what had to be, The mortgage had to be.
Right.
These days, refinancing it doesn't make any sense. So the mortgage has to be. What can be replaced with something less expensive? So we switched from Verizon to a less expensive carrier, right? We can't give up our cell phones. We need this. But Verizon and AT&T don't love us.
And
they're
T-Mobile,
stupid. Right. And then they want to only offer the new people the free stuff.
Right.
So no loyalty there. And then what can just be eliminated? And you go line by line by line by line. And that's what we did.
And you'd be surprised what you find.
Yeah.
Can't be eliminated.
Yeah. I had forgotten about magazine subscriptions and magazines I wasn't reading,
So when you guys started saving your 65% or started cutting your expenses, what did you say? You were saving 65%. Was that before or after you paid any debt off, or was that in conjunction?
We paid the debt off first.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we did not wait to invest before we paid the debt off because we could not afford it. Investing, y'all, is a time game, right? It's a long-term game. So the longer you're in the stock market, the better you're going to do. So we continued to invest while we were paying off our debt. But we could not pay off our debt and save 65% at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, since you guys are in Portugal, and I believe you said you had a home in Denver. Do you have a home in Denver? And you have still one in LA? Are you renting those out? Is that part of your,
income?
Yes. Okay. And our net worth. So when we say we went from negative 22,000 to over $1.1 million in about 4 years, like, well, how did you? My cousin called me. How did you do that? And he's a millionaire. And I said, I'm paying off debt, saving money, but also buying real estate. Real estate is the fastest way to fire. It really is. It really is. Investing in the stock market is a long-term game. You got away with the interest rates what they are today. But if you think about it, especially if you can find grandma's house, and especially if you can find grandma's house where the grandkids are not interested,
right?
You can get it really under market value, right? You could take $20,000 and walk away with $200,000 in equity.
Yeah, true.
You can't take 20,000 and turn it into 200,000 in the stock market easily. Maybe day traders can, but we normal folk cannot.
Exactly. So I know the one thing that he and I'm being honest here, have trouble dealing with is the part of the communication, talking about money. Because stop. Wait till we get off. Was that an issue with you guys? And if not, what advice would you give folks who are couples married and they just have difficulty talking about the money issue?
We never really had a problem talking about money. I mean, if I spent something that or wasn't paying attention to something that I needed to pay attention more, well, we got to cut back on this. We got to cut back on that. Was just a conversation just like that. Okay, we need to, not looking, not pointing, not placing blame on anybody else.
Because both have blame.
Right. And the conversation is always we. So, we need to look at this. We need to handle, maybe we need to do this instead of that. Not, well, you need to quit spending this and that. And you need to, because that's where you run into issue. Because, we're human. So the first thing we do is we want to protect our feelings.
I would add on to that we don't have conversations when stuff is bad. Have the conversation in and of itself, not as a reaction to a behavior.
Okay.
And then somebody's going to be all up in their feelings, right?
Right.
So when we decided to have the conversation, it wasn't because of anything that he did, like he had just gone out and bought a fur coat, or I just went out and bought a fur coat, or something stupid like that, right? It wasn't in response. It was like, you know what? I don't want to keep doing this, and we need to figure this out. And I'm tired of having debt, and I'm tired of these rotating lines of credit that it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get out of it. And so having a conversation that is neutral, I think is the first step. That way you don't get into the blame. The other thing that we did is we wrote down what we decided we were going to do. We put it in writing. So a year later, you can't come back and say, well, I thought,
Okay.
look, I will write up a contract in a minute. Ask my son. Ask my son how many contracts he's gotten in his lifetime. He started signing contracts at like 8 years old. To the boy in the southwest room, because that's not your room. That's my room. You living in our house,
right?
Right?
She do that.
These are the expectations, cease and desist. And I will have you sign it, and then do some evaluations. How are we doing on this?
Right.
Remember them self-evaluations we hated back in the W-2 days?
Yes.
Yep.
So that also probably would be a good idea if you're single. Write a contract up for yourself. And then at 6 months in, look at that contract, see if it needs to be adjusted, see where you've strayed or whatever, and at least to have something on paper where you can say the bullet A, B, C, or whatever, and this is what I plan on doing within this 6 month time, where I plan to cut back or save or invest.
Exactly. Okay. And I never thought about having an agreement with yourself, but it's too true, because it's really easy to stray. And then I think two other money mindset changes that we need to make is one is every dollar should have a job.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I've
Every
heard.
dollar should have a job.
Yeah.
So every single dollar that is earned, every single euro that is earned you should already know what that's going to.
Yeah.
And then so what do I mean by that? So that means, like, for instance, any money that Love Park Connection YouTube channel makes is going to go to our vacation fund. Any money that is made by this course is going to go to this, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing is the whole notion of pay yourself first.
Yes.
That never made sense to me. I did not pay yourself first. What does that mean? But then somebody said, and I can't even tell you who, pay your future self first. Invest in future you.
Yep.
Now that I understand. That I can understand. So, and so I pay myself before I pay Uncle Sam. I pay myself before the mortgage gets paid. And the way you pay yourself before paying Uncle Sam is by maxing out your 401k.
Right.
That's how you do that. Or your 403b or whatever your job has, right? So that's number one. I pay myself before I pay the mortgage, before any of those bills are paid. We pay future us. We invest in future us first. That's that 65% right off the top.
And paying yourself
right off the top.
Paying yourself first is not getting that Gucci bag or getting getting that thing that you see down there at the store. Yeah, it's not getting that. That's not paying yourself. That's pacifying yourself. You don't want to pacify yourself. You want to pay yourself because you want to be looking towards the future.
And that's why if you use the terminology invest,
right.
Because an investment is supposed to have returns. There should be a return on the dividend. Now, somebody could argue the Gucci bag, retains its value, and I can then sell it for, if it's vintage, for more than I bought it. And I've seen them out there. I don't know about that stuff, and I ain't going through that hassle. But let's get real. How many of us are really doing that?
You got to get past. Like I said, you can't pacify yourself. When we go out and buy stuff to pacify ourselves, it's like Pop with the wood in the backyard. I'm gonna use that. You're never gonna get back to that stuff.
You ain't never gonna use it.
So what Halisi just hit on too, it's how you say things. We have to change the way we dialogue with ourselves about stuff.
Yes.
Instead of saying, we want to invest in ourselves. We don't want to give ourselves money, or we just don't want an allowance in money. We want to invest. We want to pay ourselves. So, that's very important of how we how we say things to each other and how we say things to ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then I think lastly is the metaphysical manifestation, right? Like you really do have to, on a regular basis, visualize what you want your future life to look like.
Yes.
Because it's really easy to get in the doldrums, bosses on your nerve, microaggressions, then you go out to happy hour to complain about so-and-so, 2 mojitos later, that could be $15 a mojito in LA. Right, as opposed to €5 that it is here, right? And so, and then
Stop rubbing it in, Halisi. Stop rubbing it in. I'm trying to get it out there.
Then you stop by Nordstrom Rack on the way home because you need some stockings, or you need some socks, or you need some underwear. Oh, but look, this is on sale, and that's on sale, right? Yeah. And so, but if you are constantly visualizing not only what you want your future self to look like, your future life to look like, but also the feeling that you will have when you have that life.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to just say no. As a shoe person, I'm going to tell you, when we finally made to the decision, right? Because my feet, like, no matter how much weight I gain, them shoes always fit. So, so when we finally made the decision that we were going to leave the country, I remember, I'm going to say we were at the Fox Hill Mall, and I was going back to try to help my mom. This was before the pandemic was still on, or semi-pandemic, not total lockdown, trying to help her get her stuff straight. I was taking over her bill paying and all of that stuff. And I remember we were in Nordstrom's, coming down the escalator, and there's all them shoes. Nordstrom shoes.
I feel you. Yes.
Bling bling shoes, and then the cute casual shoes, and the boots and stuff. And I was looking. Yeah, but I'm moving to Portugal. Them shoes gonna sit right there. Let's see.
There.
Red bottoms, Portugal. Red bottoms, Portugal.
Yeah.
You can afford anything, just not everything. And I love that Paula Pant quote that she has coined. You can afford anything, just not everything.
So did you take all your shoes to Portugal? Because I walked on the cobblestone, and it's like I almost twisted my ankle on some tennis shoes.
No, I did not. Like I had a shoe to match this outfit and shoes match that out. No. We started kind of adopting a more minimalism type of lifestyle, not the sad one plate, one fork lifestyle, but and I've got a pair of what are the boots that just come, ankle boots?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't worn them yet. And it's funny because sometimes I know we're going to take a ride share, a Uber or whatever, back and forth because of the event, and I still ain't put them on. So they're still at the top of the closet. So, it's the sneakers, it's the sandals, with the cushy.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, I just brought my absolute favorites.
Absolutely. Okay.
And as far as you, Rick, was it tennis shoes?
And all of them, he had more shoes than I did. You know good and well.
My bad, Rick. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, man.
Right, bro. I ain't mad at you.
He had racks.
Just back the bus up a little bit, okay? So.
He had blue suede loafers. I mean, all these colors.
I didn't bring no.
I know you didn't. You didn't bring those. You brought the green ones. Well, we bought those in Spain, but you brought the green ones. The green suede. Yeah. This man and tennis shoes to match every outfit.
Really? Okay.
He had about 6 pairs of ankle boots, about 10 pairs of dress shoes, about another 10 pair of semi-casual, and that don't even include tennis shoes in every color.
But in all reality, I mean, come on, my job paid for my boots and shoes, most of them.
His job did not pay for them shoes.
They did.
Because they started getting skimpy. Now, maybe back in the old days when the original company.
But in all fairness, I never really went out besides tennis shoes. I never bought dress shoes in retail. I always went to.
He did. He'd go to secondhand sometimes.
I'd go to a
Oh,
thrift
okay.
shop or something like that,
Get
find
them
some real
resold.
good shoes, and I would
Yeah.
polish them.
Or
Something that younger people don't know the concept of anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Shoes,
I have to give him credit. Yeah. But we don't got the space for all them secondhand shoes.
No.
Even if they were like the top of the line, whatever men's top of the line is, that you the ones that you really are going to get new heels put on, we ain't got room for all that.
we did spend money on some Hokas because of the
Cobblestones.
Cobblestone.
Way more
Yeah. That's cobblestone.
They ain't no joke.
No joke. And the hills are
So
no
the
joke.
cobblestones are on the street and on the sidewalks,
I
or
found where I was walking.
Everywhere.
really?
Some of the streets have been is it
Asphalt.
what's the blacktop?
Asphalt. Asphalt. Yeah.
They have asphalt over the cobblestones.
Oh.
Then it wears off in some places. So then you're like in the Uber, and then
man.
Yeah.
Look, this city is 1,000 years old, y'all. Europe is old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not the Americas. So
It isn't.
Wow.
It isn't. So tell folks, because we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Tell folks about your Beyond the Bling.
Yeah. So a couple of things. If you're interested in Portugal, our Move to Portugal Virtual Summit is on sale now. I forgot to send you the link for 2024. So I will send Love Park Connection the link, and they can put it in the description after this live is over. I was trying to get it before, but I couldn't. We also have a financial course for late bloomers. This is Financial Freedom Course for Late Bloomers. It's called Beyond the Bling. You got to get beyond the bling. And it is everything from assessing your spending all the way to real estate investing and side hustles. And it comes with monthly live Q&A where we meet with you every second Saturday of the month and we'll answer your questions. So you're not just doing a self-paced course on your own. You do have access to us. And then with that, we are starting an investment study group. So, well, we've already kind of started it. Yeah.
Is that with Beyond the Bling, or is that separate?
It's with Beyond the Bling, and we'll eventually be going to a subscription model where if you're only interested in the investing, you can get into the community through the subscription. But for right now, if you're in Beyond the Bling, then you can, join the group.
Okay. Yeah. I really appreciate you answering the question, as far as with my niece, with her being, just getting into the working thing, a lot more people, you might want to try to do a course on that for people youngsters that are just starting out working and then getting into it. Cause we tried to do that with our daughter who's 24.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked a little bit. She's been on her about it, but
because I talked to him about dollar cost averaging. I said, just put aside $20 a pay period and put it into an investment. I told him like I'd have Charles Schwab. I said Charles Schwab, Fidelity, whatever, and then have that automatically going into there every month.
About it.
Yeah, and forget about it, and set it up where it's also purchasing stocks for you, so you don't. It's all automated. So that's what
I think a couple of other things for the young folks, because our kids don't listen either.
I know.
But then they want to call and borrow money.
Yes, exactly.
So the next time they complain about their job, oh, sweetheart, yeah, I understand. I know, right? Do you want to be there 30 years from now?
Right. That.
Right. So that's the entry into the conversation that now they might want to hear because they're pissed off that somebody took credit for their project or dissed them in front of folks or whatever has, Karen showed up at work, Chad showed up. And that's a perfect opportunity to start having this conversation. So definitely automate it. But the other thing that I found very valuable, one of the original folks of the FIRE movement, Mr. Money Mustache, He's still got this blog out there. It's something like, and y'all can Google this, put in Mr. Money Mustache, and then like the amazingly simple math behind early retirement.
Okay.
And so a lot of youngsters say, well, you know, I'm going to love what I do.
Right.
Yeah, it's not what you do, it's the people you got to work with.
Yeah.
Like I loved what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all getting on my nerve, right?
Mhm.
And which will drive you crazy, make your hair gray, give you stress and all of that stuff. So once they see, like, okay, if I'm only saving 5%, I'm gonna have to work for 75 years.
Mm.
If I'm saving 10%, then I only have to work for this amount of years. 30%, only this amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, so well, I only make so much. So how can I save 50%? Okay, well, you're young, get another job.
Right.
Cut out the happy hours.
Yeah.
Get a side hustle going, get a real estate license, or get another job. And you know, you can dictate and then 100% of that money into your investments. 100% of that money into a down payment for a multi-family home. And that's another thing for young people.
Not
Do
single
not
family.
buy a single family home. Don't be like us. Don't be stupid like us.
Yeah. Well, see, you know, also in our defense, you know, we wasn't taught this.
And it wasn't anything on the internet at that time.
Yeah. Nobody taught us this. Our parents didn't, you know, we had to find this stuff out later in life.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
We only had access to the people we had around us. We didn't have access to the whole world's knowledge back in the day.
Exactly.
Because I did know people who owned apartment buildings, but I never was bold enough to ask how they did it. I never wondered, like, do I have to have a certain credit score? I made assumptions and then made decisions upon my assumptions. Right.
True.
And so with a multifamily home, if it's 4 or less, you can get an FHA loan. You can get a regular loan. And we always heard that your house is your investment. No, it's not. Because you have to have someplace to live, folks. Okay. You have to have someplace to live. An investment generates income. So unless your house is generating income, not equity, income, because you can't access the equity until you sell it. And then you got to find someplace else to live. Right? Unless it's generating income, it's not an investment. It's not. Your car is not an investment.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
No.
Not
it's
at all.
an asset.
No, it's not an asset.
It's
not even an asset.
Liability.
Liability. That's what I mean.
It's a liability. It's a tool. It's a necessary evil, depending upon where you live. But it's definitely not an investment, and you definitely should not be spending any more money than you have to. Do not buy a car to impress people that you don't like.
Yep.
Right. Or even if you do like them, don't buy it. I mean, you know.
If you find the need to have to buy a car, go to a car broker. Don't go to a dealership.
Yes. And never buy a brand new car.
Yeah.
Never, ever buy a brand new car. That's like
I've also heard even leasing is not a wise decision.
Not unless your company can lease it.
If you have a company and it can lease it for you,
because then it's 100% write-off. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
now,
I mean,
now real quick. Okay. We talked about Halisi's job that she had. You know, I got to go. Rick, what did you do?
My last job was I was a director for audiovisual services for pretty big, well, also international company.
It's global company.
Global company. They're still around. Actually, they got a shout out by who was it? At the NABJ because the microphones weren't supposed to be working correctly.
What's the NABJ?
The National
Black Journalists.
Black Journalists.
Okay, National Association of Black Journalists.
And I think somebody had made mention of who the company was, and it was Encore, the company I worked for. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't really.
They're a sucking company.
They're pretty good at getting things, and then come to find out it wasn't the microphones at all; it was something else.
They're a sucking company. When he first started, that company bought out another company, which bought out the original company he was working for.
Yeah.
And the original company he was working for, family owned, it was same business, right? Great company. And he went from cush, lots of perks and all of that, to, oh, so instead of just managing the one hotel, yeah, we're going to give you 3 and we're not going to raise your salary.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
them.
That's
Lovely companies.
corporate America.
Corporate America. Yay.
But I have kind of different jobs, different careers, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
can't do
So,
this.
well, good. Yeah.
All right.
Well, good.
Any
Well,
other
thanks for
questions,
answering
baby?
those questions. Like I said, those ones we kept hitting on what you guys did before, your occupation, but we didn't know what it was. And I know somebody was out there probably like, what do they do? What did they do?
Yeah.
Well, like she said, we never made over 5 figures, and
Yeah, we never made figures ever. And so y'all, if we can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
never
yeah.
made and I mean, we had 6-figure titles.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had 6-figure responsibilities.
Yeah.
Show, right?
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
weren't trying to give us that money. No. And if
Because
you're
we've always had a side hustle.
yeah. And if
Oh,
you're
okay.
black, I can just guarantee you're underpaid. I know you're underpaid if you're black.
Yeah.
I know you're underpaid.
Yeah.
They ain't paying you what
Yeah.
you worth.
Yeah.
I'll have to hit you guys up on what your side hustles were, because you guys mentioned it, but I was thinking, is this the side you talking about now, or
No,
when you were working?
Video production.
We did video production and
Oh,
video
okay.
marketing, strategic planning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We incorporated a new dawn back in 2001, 2002, something like that. So we did like corporate videos, marketing videos for cable companies and this and that,
Nice.
and stuff like that. For a short time, we did wedding films.
Yeah, that was very short. I did not like doing that.
It was one bridezilla too many, and I was like, "That's it."
That's
totally
eliminated.
Me being a musician, I don't like planning weddings. I mean, I just had a guy that just text me the other day. He was like, "Hey man, you mind if I refer you for this wedding, company?" That I was like, "Man, I'm good. I'm cool. Thank you." Yeah. Nah, that's just it's too tense. It's too much going on in the weddings.
Yeah. Like you said, bridezilla.
Bridezilla, exactly.
That was the end of that. But that was one, having that side hustle the whole time is one of the reasons I believe that we weren't in more debt than we were.
Okay.
It could have been a lot worse because our spending was stupid. I mean, we spent without it because you're gonna get another paycheck. You're gonna get another paycheck. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Anything else, babe?
I think that's it, because
That's
I'll
it.
keep asking questions. So, and I know they're busy, so we
They're not
appreciate
busy.
you.
They're living in
Today's
Portugal.
the-
I know
Living
bragging about how much the food costs and stuff, Halisi.
Well, I didn't
I'm
want
looking at the clock, and I was like, I've got some mentees here, some young people here, and I was like, Brazilian food tonight, y'all.
See,
See?
like I know what y'all doing. I know what all 3 of y'all doing. Y'all trying to get me. Y'all trying. I know y'all ain't right.
Come on, is it working?
Y'all chipping away at it.
I know we're talking about money, but if you don't have peace, if you don't feel safe, what good is it?
Exactly.
What good is all the money, right? And so like last night, we were out until 2:00 in the morning, out in them streets. And I mean, literally out in the streets of Lisbon, not in a restaurant or a club or this or that, because they had all of these street festivals going on over here. They had like a Zumba and they had a DJ in the square, and there were all of these couples dancing, and then some people were dancing with their babies at midnight, y'all. This is how we're living, right? Like, and then on the other side, they were playing more club music and stuff like that, and they were over there dancing, and then there's booths set up and they're selling food and drinks and stuff like that. And so we were out, and then we ran into other folks that we know. Oh, hey, yeah, we just walking around, and we ran into people that we knew and stuff. And so, having financial freedom is definitely freedom.
Yeah.
But if your country is not serving you, if you do
Yeah.
not feel safe in your home country, there's a better way. There is a better way. And it's a whole big wide world out here. And we are living our best lives here in Lisbon, Portugal. And I really appreciate the sense of community that we used to have, like back in the 70s, like when you have
Yeah.
festivals at the school
Yeah.
or this or that, or block parties, and you didn't have to worry about somebody popping off with a gun or anything else. The worst thing was Uncle JJ would be over in the corner asleep, right? But that's not the America that exists today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
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 No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
And I can tell
So
you,
come up here.
Oakland's rough out in these streets. So I'm
I
like,
know.
I already told him, and then we'll get off because we don't want to keep you guys too much longer. This last 4th of July out here, I told him this will be the last 4th of July I spend out here in Oakland because it is literally a war zone. That's what it sounds like. And I've never been in war, but it's out of control. It's out of control, and nobody's doing anything.
If you guys go to my Facebook page, you'll see past couple of years, I just go and stand in my front yard and I'm just filming, and it's just all around me.
It's ridiculous. It's
people shooting guns in the air.
No. Well,
probably.
Probably. Who knows?
We don't. But
it's just the fireworks.
And they're not just pop, pop, pop. No, these are not pop,
these
pop,
is like
pop.
dynamite.
Cherry like the M80s, the M80s that you can get from Mexico.
Oh, M80s is like whatever. M80s is like a firecracker compared to some of the stuff.
Wow.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So
it's ridiculous. And I said, this was the last year. I said, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I've been doing it for 26 years here. And it's gotten progressively worse each year. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So
at least here for those festivals, because they do have some fireworks and stuff.
Yeah, they have them.
And of course, they always have the professional fireworks. But I hear firecrackers too. But it's not a gun. See, that's the difference. It wouldn't be as stressful if you said there's a 99.9% chance that's not a gun.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to get a gun. Then the firecrackers mean something different, right? Like it's not going to have the same effect on you. And, because we were out in them streets, I think, Angela, you were here early enough for St. Anthony's Day.
But no, I wasn't.
It was wall to wall people, Pierre. We were like this. We were like, and people were dancing. And
didn't have to worry.
No, people were walking around, alcohol. They were serving, all of the little cafes had a bar erected outside of their door. Wow. And they were serving alcohol to people in the streets. Well, not for free. You had to pay for it. And then they had DJ here, DJ here, DJ here, DJ here, DJ. It was a citywide street party. And I did not hear about anybody getting dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my little pet peeve. I was like, that's it. This July 4th, that was it. That was it for me. I was like, I'm done.
Time to go. Pierre, you've got a French name, so you need to just Ricardo knew. He couldn't stay in the States.
Ricardo.
This is Ricardo.
Ricardo knew.
Yep, Ricardo knew.
Okay.
And they said, Ricardo, how come you can't speak Portuguese? That's a Portuguese name.
Hey, it's like, give me a minute. I missed that class.
Well, my name for my grandchildren, I said, you're not going to call me grandma. So it's Abe, which is Portuguese. And my grandkids were 12, whatever. They're older. So I made this name up when the first one was born. Yeah. And I said, okay, see, that was a sign.
13 years
Abe. Because if you're not calling me grandma, Abe. So, and I didn't realize I was looking for a name, and I didn't want I didn't want it to be abuela, because there was already an abuela. And I said, okay, Abe.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it was, I knew it was Portuguese, but didn't realize.
Grandmother. So what is how do you spell that?
Abe is AVO with the little thing.
baby, you don't pronounce the V like a B in Portuguese. I'm
What
like,
do they
maybe in Brazilian Portuguese.
Maybe
So
it's Brazilian
this
Portuguese.
is how
Yeah.
weird it is. So avo, it's avo and avo. One is grandma, one is grandpa.
Right.
Avo, avo. I don't know the
Mm.
difference. I can't tell you the difference. Abuela, abuelo, that's easy. Avo and
Yeah.
avo, like it's spelled the
Right.
exact same way.
The
One
same
has
way.
an N and one doesn't.
Right.
So I don't know. But I love that name. I love that name.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna be a Gigi.
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 Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Gigi's cool.
Yep. Yep. One of my best friends, his grandmother's name is Gigi.
Gigi.
That's what they call her.
Yeah.
Gigi.
Cool.
I think I'm
Cool.
gonna be a Gigi. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Nice.
loves.
All right,
All
you
right.
guys. Thank you so much again for coming on and sharing
You're
your
so
time with
welcome.
us. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
And you guys, please check out their Beyond the Bling. It's it's full of a lot of good information. So please check
Yes.
out their Beyond the Bling. Halisi's gonna send me the link for the move to Portugal, which I'm already signed up for. Hey.
You got the
So
discounted ticket.
I sure did. As soon as I saw it, I was like,
Yeah.
bam, I'm in. So yeah, you guys check that out. I'll put it in the link below. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining us. Please
Yeah.
remember to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys again next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.